I was reincarnated as the malicious male supporting character in a novel, and just at the end of the plot, my wife suddenly gained the ability to read minds. Unknowingly, I kept following the script. I said out loud, "Do you want to divorce me unless I die?" But in my mind, I was thinking, throw the divorce contract in my face already. You're already with your lover. Don't make me waste time to get my 10 billion reward. I never imagined that my wife, the CEO, would completely change her attitude and announce to the media that she was pregnant and that we would never divorce. Chapter 1. I walked into the meeting between my wife, Freya, and her lover, Damien. I grabbed a glass of wine and, without a word, threw it in Damien's face. Freya, a bit uncomfortable with the presence of others, dragged him to the bathroom to clean up. According to the novel's plot, she was supposed to immediately ask for a divorce because of my outrageous behavior. Then I would harass her several times until she hated me completely, and that's when I'd complete the mission and get my 10 billion reward. Thinking about what was coming, I couldn't help but smirk maliciously. One of the people at the table warned me, "Mario, have you lost your mind or something?" I immediately put on a serious face, adopting a sad expression. Just then, Freya opened the door. I rolled my eyes, crossed my arms, and asked arrogantly, "I didn't even do much to him. Is it worth making such a big deal out of it?" "Freya, do you still remember that I'm your husband?" Freya looked at me indifferently, her eyes dark. But inside, I couldn't help feeling excited. Hurry, scream at me already. Then tell me that if I bother your lover again, you'll kill me." Freya first dismissed everyone else and then walked over to me, speaking calmly. "I'm just worried about my friend. Don't misinterpret it." "What? Isn't this supposed to happen according to the script?" I reluctantly broke a glass and sighed. "I'm telling you, don't think that just because Damien is back, you'll be with him. You want to divorce me unless I die." But in my mind, I was confused. I've already made such a scene. How can you stay so calm? Come on, do me a favor and ask for the divorce, then throw the contract in my face. You're already with your lover. Don't waste my time. Let me get my 10 billion reward. To my surprise, Freya smiled slightly and looked at me with an intrigued expression. "Darling, where are you going with all this? I love you. How could I divorce you?" I froze as if struck by lightning. What's going on? Wasn't she supposed to love Damien? There must be something I'm not seeing. Let me think. As I was pondering this, Freya came closer and hugged me by the waist, resting her head on my chest. My body immediately tensed, my nose filled with the scent of her fragrance. She whispered between giggles, "Darling, I made mistakes before, but now I want to be with you forever." No, you're wrong. I'm just a cruel male side character. Damien is your true love. 3 years ago, I entered this tragic novel and became the cruel side character who loved the protagonist, Freya. I took advantage of her true love, Damien, being absent and married her. Then, when Damien returned to the country, I used all sorts of manipulations and tricks, and in the end, it was him who stayed with her, living happily ever after. To complete my mission and get my 10 billion reward, I've completely embraced my role, even playing it more detestably than the original script. Everything was going well up until now. I was Freya's loyal simp, while she was always obsessed with Damien, despising everything I did. Until 3 days before Damien's return, she fell while hiking, hit her head, and lost consciousness. When she woke up, something was off. After returning home, she burned everything related to Damien, and now her attitude toward him didn't seem as passionate as in the novel. Could it be that my acting was so bad that Freya figured out the truth? It can't be. There's no way my acting was that obvious. Even the system, which was already dead, praised my acting skills. Sometimes I even felt like hitting myself. If it's not my acting, then it must be Damien's fault. I haven't tortured him enough. "Darling, why aren't you answering me?" Freya was completely glued to me, and her hand was slyly slipping inside my shirt. My body tensed again, but I tried to grab her mischievous hand. I thought to myself, didn't you always avoid getting close to me? If this continues, there will be scenes unsuitable for children. I'm not that great at passionate scenes. To be honest, Freya has soft skin, is beautiful, with a slim waist and long legs. If something happens, I wouldn't come out losing. What's wrong? She softly laughed, biting my neck. Can't you take it anymore? I screamed inside. Freya frowned and kissed me on the lips. How noisy. Boom, boom, boom. All I could hear was the beating of my heart. Just as Freya was about to take things further, the door to the private room opened. Damien stood at the entrance, pale with a gloomy expression. What a perfect opportunity. In one swift move, I grabbed Freya by the waist, kissed her, and then, with a mocking smile, looked at Damien. Damien, who do you think you are? I'm Freya's husband. Finally, the protagonist has arrived. Watch how I crush you. Chapter 2. Damien pursed his lips and didn't move, his expression a mix of embarrassment and grievance. Freya, was it all fake when you chased after me saying you loved me? I was young and naive back then. I couldn't see things clearly. Freya's tone was very cold, and it only left me more confused. In the book, Freya should have been deeply in love with Damien. She couldn't be with anyone else. Freya, I know you have resentment in your heart, but I had no choice. While I was abroad, I thought about you every single moment. Now that I'm back, I hope to make up for the mistakes I've made. We could. I'm married now. Freya interrupted him ruthlessly. He pressed his hand to his chest and started coughing, looking pitiful. Freya lightly tapped me and whispered, What are you looking at? Then, without sparing Damien a single glance, she continued, As you can see, my husband and I have a great relationship. I only came here because an old classmate invited me. My husband has a bit of a temper and gets jealous easily, so I don't want him to misunderstand. Has Freya lost her mind? You've been obsessed with Damien for 3 years. Please reconcile with him. I need this scene to be over so I can get paid. My heart was in turmoil, but Freya pinched my waist and shot me a glare. I let out a soft hiss, which probably looked like flirting to Damien. He took a deep breath, looking like he was about to fall apart. Freya, are you serious? Have you forgotten how he manipulated you into marrying him 3 years ago? Freya raised her eyes and looked at Damien with a smile. Now that you mention it, I actually want to ask you something. You say you love me, but when my family's business was in trouble and I needed you the most, where were you? Damien was left speechless. Freya took my hand and began walking toward the door. As we passed him, Damien grabbed her wrist, his eyes slightly red. Freya, can you give me one more chance? Please, his voice trembled. Unexpectedly, Freya let go of my hand, slowly pried his fingers off, and coldly replied, I can't stand going back to someone who has already turned their back on me. Damien, please respect yourself. Damien stood there frozen, his posture desolate. I was also stunned. How did the plot just fall apart like that? A loud alarm went off in my head. Could it be that Freya really has fallen for me? How am I supposed to complete my mission now? Don't panic, don't panic. This type of female lead usually acts like she's not interested, but deep down, she's still loyal. You two are just being melodramatic. Without me, you'll break up sooner or later. Freya clicked her tongue in dissatisfaction. You're still thinking about other people. Stop looking. In the back seat of the car, Freya's hands started becoming mischievous again, her breath occasionally brushing against my neck. I pushed her hand away while quietly saying, The driver's still up front. She laughed, then don't make a sound. With that, her hand moved lower. I sucked in a sharp breath and grabbed her wrist. Could Freya have taken the wrong medicine? She used to act so cold toward me, losing all interest whenever I tried something. Sometimes I can't help but complain that the female lead has terrible taste. She ignores a tall, handsome guy like me and goes after that cold, indifferent man. Freya's face changed, and then she turned to me with a playful pout. I just realized today that you're really handsome. Way better than Damien. I proudly lifted my chin. Of course. She laughed at my smug behavior. I'm perfectly clear-headed, not on any drugs, and I know exactly what I'm doing. I thought it was strange. Freya is just the female lead of the book. She doesn't have any special powers. Why does it feel like she has mind-reading abilities? Thinking about it, I relaxed and quickly changed the subject. You hit your head a few days ago. The doctor said you should rest. We should head to bed early. She stared at me thoughtfully, then nodded in agreement. I finally felt at ease. It must be that the head injury messed with her brain. She'll be fine in a few days. Chapter 3. The next day, I went to Freya's company. When I saw Damien in the reception room, I raised an eyebrow, not surprised at all. It seemed yesterday was indeed just a fluke. The plot was still on track. He suddenly said, "I didn't have a chance to look closely yesterday, but now that I see you today, you really do look a lot like me." A classic substitute plot. I'm familiar with this one. He was trying to provoke me. I willingly got angry, pointing at Damien and shouting, "How could you compare to me? I'm Freya's legitimate husband. You're at best the third wheel. The person who isn't loved is the third wheel. Who do you think Freya loves? You know it better than anyone." He shot back mercilessly. I hadn't expected this guy to be so good at making sharp comebacks. I grabbed his collar, pretended to throw a punch at him. The sound of high heels approached. Damien gave me a meaningful smile, then suddenly leaned back, spilling the tea on the desk. His back hit the edge of the table, and blood started to flow. This guy is really good at acting. I didn't even have to lift a finger. He completed the whole act himself. The next second, Freya's surprised voice rang out. "What happened here?" Damien, grimacing in pain, hurriedly said, "Freya, it was my fault. It has nothing to do with anyone else." I understood right away. I immediately put on a serious face and said, "I pushed him." "What, Freya? Are you upset? If I ever see you harass my wife again, I'll hit you every time I see you." His eyes were filled with tears, his hands tightly clenched by his sides. How could Freya not feel sorry for him in this state? Next, Freya will probably scold me, right? I've bullied her, Damien, like this. If she still tolerates it, is she even human? Just as I thought that, Freya gave me a signal, and the secretary came in to help Damien up. But Freya instead put her arm around me and sweetly said, "Let's listen to my husband." Both Damien and I were stunned. Damien clearly didn't want to give up. He reluctantly let himself be dragged away. I wasn't about to let it go so easily. Seeing this, I immediately added fuel to the fire. "Damien, did you see that? Stop fantasizing. With that little body of yours. Next time you see me, you'd better turn the other way, or else I might push you again, and you won't even survive it." Damien froze in his tracks, as if suddenly remembering something. He quickly grabbed Freya's sleeve, looking troubled as he said, "Freya, I came back this time to tell you. I have stomach cancer. The doctor says I have at most 3 months left. The terminal illness is definitely fake, but this tactic works. Freya must feel sorry for him now." Sure enough, Freya froze for a moment. "Is it true?" Damien gave a bitter smile and nodded. "Look at me, I've lost so much weight." I quickly chimed in, "I can prove it." One push, and he falls over. Freya gave me a sidelong glance, her expression unreadable. I cleared my throat, finding myself the perfect excuse to leave. "Well then, I'm not petty. You two can talk it out. I have other things to do, so I'll leave now." Inside, I was ecstatic. Finally, they'll have some alone time. "Damien, make me proud. Use your charm to win Freya over." Waiting for the divorce, 10 billion, here I come. Damien didn't disappoint me this time. The next day, a video of Freya and him returning to his apartment together hit the trending page. Freya had a strong, beautiful, and successful image on social media, which made her quite popular. Her childhood romance with Damien, one that ended without resolution, was often brought up as a topic of nostalgic discussions. Not only that, but the video of me pouring wine on Damien at the club and the one where he was pushed down in the office also made their way online. A few reporters were waiting outside my house. When I went out, they surrounded me, asking all kinds of questions. One reporter asked, "Mario, do you have anything to say about Freya and Damien?" I dutifully played the role of the stumbling block in True Love, replying angrily, "Cheating within a marriage and being the third wheel. What is there to say?" The reporter pressed on, "But I heard that it was you who used underhanded tactics to marry Freya. Now that True Love is back and they're a perfect match, don't you think it's a bit excessive to emotionally blackmail Freya?" I kept a straight face, but inside I gave a thumbs up to this young reporter. When Damien abandoned Freya when she was at her most vulnerable, leaving her isolated and helpless, everyone in the industry knows about this. Didn't you? The reporter was caught off guard and after a moment asked, "Everyone knows you and Freya don't have a good relationship. You've never even celebrated an anniversary together. Why do you still want to maintain this sham of a marriage? I don't want to, I screamed internally, but on the outside, I had to keep up the act. So I snorted coldly, turned, and left without looking back, creating the image of a stubborn, lonely figure. Chapter 4. The segment from the interview quickly went viral online. A lot of people were trashing me. This guy is disgusting. He clearly took advantage of someone's vulnerability and used dirty tactics to marry Freya. And now he acts like a victim. He can't compare to Damien. That's the true love of Freya's heart. The two people involved haven't even spoken yet. And here he is jumping around like a clown. Why hasn't Freya spoken out? I want to see her slap him in the face. It's gotten this bad, and he still won't agree to a divorce. Looks like he just wants money. What a shameless person. Scrolling through the endless comments slamming me, I felt a little complicated. I think back to the 3 years when I was the simp, constantly attentive to Freya's every need. When she didn't want to go on dates, I'd wait half a day downstairs in her office building. When she got drunk, I'd drive her home. She always used business trips as an excuse to avoid our anniversary. So I'd go to the place where she was traveling and wait for her. Only when she ran out of excuses would we go out for a meal, and then I'd catch the earliest flight back the next day. If I didn't have the God's perspective, it would truly be heartbreaking to give so much to someone and get nothing in return. But now, rather than lamenting the fate of the second male lead, I might as well cheer for the task I'm about to complete. Because in the book, the eventual ending of this second male lead is that after Freya and Damien reignite their old flame, I keep causing trouble, try to manipulate public opinion to turn against Damien, only to end up being cyberbullied and retreating quietly. It seems like they've already patched things up, and I've been cyberbullied too, so the task should be coming to a close soon. In fact, I even hope they'd criticize me even more. The more they hate me, the more it'll trigger the public's sympathy for Damien. Freya called me. On the phone, she carefully asked if I was hurt by the bad press. I sniffed and growled, "Freya, stop pretending. Let me tell you, as long as I'm here, Damien will forever be a worthless third wheel." I could faintly hear Damien's voice in the background. "Freya, I'm happy just being here with you." My heart skipped a beat. Wow, they've already moved in together. Damien's got game. "Freya, hurry up and divorce me. My 10 billion just needs that divorce agreement." Suddenly, Freya got angry and raised her voice. "Say that again." Without hesitation, I hung up the phone. This would probably make her even angrier. And in her anger, she'd divorce me. Perfect. But I waited for 3 days, and Freya still hadn't gone home, let alone filed for divorce. I started to think that maybe Damien wasn't pulling his weight, and it was up to me to take action. With a spark of inspiration, I created a social media account and posted 3 updates. "Come on, I'm Mario. Let's gather those who want to insult me. Do you think I'll back down just because of this online bullying? Hell no, true love bullshit. I'm going to drag this out with Freya for life. Let's see who lasts longer, ha. Freya, you want to live happily with your true love? Dream on. Damien, you're just a cockroach. Why don't you go die?" This immediately stirred up the situation once again. My phone number got leaked, and soon I was inundated with calls, texts, and even money transfers for people. I switched my phone to airplane mode, which meant I missed Freya's response. The next morning, the phone at home rang. It was my secretary urging me to check the trending topics. "Boss, you finally answered. Freya has officially announced that you're going to be a father." For a brief moment, my brain went offline. I quickly opened Freya's profile. Last night, Freya had posted an ultrasound picture with a caption, "My husband is just afraid of losing me, which is why he's going crazy on social media. Please be understanding. Our relationship is fine, and we will welcome a new life together. We will absolutely not divorce, so please respect us and stop spreading rumors, or I won't hesitate to take legal action." This completely ignited the topic, and Freya and my name stayed at the top of the trending list overnight. No one expected that the Freya, who always nostalgically talked about the past on social media, would announce she was having a child with me and publicly express her love. With this, it's clear that Damien is the third wheel. The one with the most ulterior motives is probably him. Forget it. The main character's finally gone dark, and the second male lead takes over. They'll live happily ever after. We laughed at him for being crazy, but he laughed at us for not seeing through it. Anyway, we wished them a long and happy life. This left me completely dumbfounded. This wasn't in the script. I immediately rushed to Freya's office. She was sitting at her desk, reading some documents, and looked up at me without any emotion. "Don't thank me. We're family. This is what I should do." Chapter 5. My chest was rising and falling violently as I silently shouted in my mind. What the hell? Divorce? I want a divorce. What's this about the child? Except for the fact that Freya was out of her mind a few days ago, we hadn't been intimate in 3 years. There's no way we could have a child. She smiled, tilted her head, and blinked at me, asking, "Just because there's no child now doesn't mean there won't be one in the future. Didn't you always want us to have a child together?" I froze, unable to respond. If I don't want to monopolize the heroine, does that still make me the villainous second male lead? I'm just acting well. How can you actually believe this? Freya stood up and walked over to me. She gently caressed my face, sighing as she said, "Hubby, I truly understand now. You're the one who's always been good to me. From now on, I'll love you the way you love me. I'll protect you. You're not allowed to go anywhere." I pretended to be moved. "Wife, I've finally waited for you." But inside, I was screaming, did Freya really fall in love with me? Did she really fall in love with me? What do I do? What do I do? My 10 billion is slipping away. Just then, loud noises came from the door. Damien barged in, struggling past the secretary. If you won't see me, I had no choice but to come in uninvited. Freya rolled her eyes and snorted. What's this? Not pretending to be terminally ill anymore? Sigh. If Damien had even half my acting skills, he would have already won her over. The secretary and I left the room, giving them some privacy again. This was the decisive moment. Just in case, I hid outside the door and eavesdropped. Damien lowered his head, clenching his hands at his sides, still unwilling to give up. I know I was wrong to lie to you, but I just love you too much. Is it true you're having a child with Mario? Aren't I the one you love most, Damien? Freya didn't even pretend to be kind. Her tone was cold as ice. I think I've made myself very clear before. I love my husband, and I'm willing to have a child with him. Your actions have made me very angry, especially the part where you hired reporters to slander my husband. If it weren't for our past, you wouldn't have this chance to stand in front of me. Freya, is this how you see me? Damien gave a bitter smile, looking completely wronged. You've changed so much in these 3 years. You actually believe Mario? Don't you know what kind of person he is? He's been targeting me the whole time, and you're helping him. Don't let him deceive you. Damien wasn't wrong. According to the book, Freya's character was supposed to trust Damien unconditionally, despising me, the villainous second male lead. So why is Freya now speaking in my defense? Are you done? Freya pulled out a check, filled it out with a pen, and handed it to Damien. You think I don't know about your little schemes? Back then, when you saw my family fall from grace, you abandoned me. Now that I'm making a comeback, you want to take advantage of me. Let me tell you, there's no such thing as a free lunch. Take this 50 million and get the hell out. What is going on? That 50 million is supposed to be the amount Freya would give me in a divorce, right? I should be the one getting kicked out, not Damien. Damien, if you're a man, reject it. But Damien truly wasn't much of a man. He hesitated for a moment, then took the check. The next second, right in front of Freya, he ripped the check in half. Freya, it's okay if you don't trust me. I have my ways to make you believe in me. With that, he walked towards the door, and I didn't have time to retreat before we collided. He glared at me with red eyes, his face full of anger. Chapter 6. By the time I snapped out of my daze, he had already vanished. A while later, the secretary rushed in, panic evident in her voice. Not good. Damien is on the rooftop, and he says he's going to die to make a point. Freya and I hurried to the rooftop, where Damien was standing on the edge of the terrace, looking completely hopeless. The crowd below had gathered, watching the spectacle. Freya's face was grim as she repeatedly begged him not to be impulsive, insisting there was always a way to talk things through. At first, I was frustrated by his poor acting, which was completely derailing the plot. But now, playing this ridiculous stunt, Wasn't he just pushing Freya further away? While he was playing his emotional game with Freya, I seized the opportunity, grabbed him by the arm, and pulled him down. All the frustration I'd been bottling up poured out in a fist, landing hard on his face. You're playing a pathetic pity act. It's unbearable to watch. You're playing so badly, like a beginner. I gave you so many chances, and you still couldn't get it right. Now look, my 10 billion is about to go down the drain. It's all because of you, you disaster. We were only separated when the security guards arrived to pull us apart. In the hospital, as we got our wounds bandaged, we stared at each other, both of us fuming. Thinking about Damien's earlier act of not really daring to die, I sneered. Suddenly, I recalled what the system had said to me earlier. If the plot really couldn't go on, I still had one final trick up my sleeve, faking my death and running away. My storyline was already at an end. As long as I could exit, the mission would be complete. Freya had been constantly concerned for me, asking how I was feeling. Damien, unable to watch anymore, hung his arm, his expression downcast as he walked away. Taking advantage of Freya's phone call, I ran to stop him. Hey, how about we team up? I had no choice but to take control of the situation. The next day, Freya received the news that both Damien and I had been kidnapped. The kidnappers told us, everything is going according to plan. Freya is on her way with the ransom. Damien was still a bit skeptical. She's definitely not going to save me. I don't understand what this whole setup is for. Well, what else can I say? You're never going to win her heart. I shot him a look. Right now, I'm the only one who can help you. In reality, this was the grand scheme I had set up for my own dramatic exit. Without me, maybe Damien and Freya could get back together. Freya arrived quickly. Let them go. I'll agree to anything you ask. The kidnappers, following the plan, laid out their terms. Sorry, Miss Freya, but you can only save one of these two. You choose. What? That's not what you said on the phone. Freya exclaimed, shocked. Freya, stop talking. Agree to my terms, or I'll kill them both. The kidnapper continued with his lines. Freya's face was serious as she responded, give me a moment to think. I gave Damien a glance. He understood immediately, putting on a face full of love and acceptance as he said, Freya, I know you won't choose me. Just let me die. I wish you and Mario a lifetime of happiness. He even managed to squeeze out a few tears. I have to admit, Damien's acting as the green tea type was something I couldn't match. The kidnapper turned to me. Mario, what about you? Anything you want to say? Freya's eyes were fixed on me. I smiled at her. Freya, I'm afraid I won't be able to stay with you. Goodbye. Just then, the warehouse we were being held in began to shake. The building's collapsing. Run. The kidnapper was the first to react, shouting. Freya grabbed my arm, pulling me toward the door with Damien close behind us. Just before we reached the exit, I pulled my hand away from Freya's grasp and shoved Damien forward. In her wide-eyed, disbelieving gaze, I disappeared into the crashing collapse. The last thing I heard was her heart-wrenching scream. Mario. Chapter 7. Of course, I wasn't really dead. I had carefully chosen that warehouse, and beneath it, I'd planted some explosives. When they went off, the building naturally became unstable. I had also set up an escape tunnel at the door. On the surface, it looked like I had been buried under rubble, but in reality, I had escaped through the tunnel. After my successful escape, I let out a triumphant roar. I'm finally free. Just then, the system suddenly spoke up. Host, are you happy? I jumped in surprise and immediately began to curse. Now you decide to show up? Hurry up and give me my 10 billion. The system replied, the money has already been transferred to your account. You still haven't answered my question. Of course I'm happy. I don't have to play in some ridiculous drama anymore. Do you have any idea how miserable these 3 years were for me? To be honest, there was still a tiny bit of guilt in my heart toward Freya. After all, I had deceived her. I had chosen the 10 billion. But then I reassured myself that any normal person would have made the same choice. Maybe by now, she and Damien's relationship had grown even stronger. I spent a while living my carefree life. To truly cut ties with the past, I ordered the system not to give me any updates about Freya and Damien. One day, the system ever so annoyingly asked me, Host, Do you think Freya is someone who gives up easily? I shook my head and sighed. If she was that easy to give up on, she wouldn't have liked Damien for so many years. Wait a minute. Are you implying something to me? The system replied, You're overthinking it, host. I squinted and relaxed in my rocking chair, swinging my feet back and forth. I faked my death perfectly. There's no flaw in the plan. Even if Freya finds out, what can she do? The world is so big. How could she possibly find me? Just as I finished speaking, a female voice came from behind me. Mario, you made it so hard for me to find you. I slipped off the chair and crashed to the ground. Chapter 8. What the fuck? What the hell is going on? Why didn't you stupid system tell me about this? System. Host, it's because you told me not to say anything. After that accident, Freya searched everywhere but couldn't find your body. She never believed you were dead and has been looking for you ever since. Freya walked toward me with a smile, step by step. What do I do? What do I do? I must have owed Freya something in my past life. Are these things she's doing supposed to be what a female lead does? Maybe I'll just pretend I don't know her. There are tons of people who look alike. I was about to speak when Freya cut me off. She placed a finger on my lips and said, Are you planning on pretending you don't know me? You better give up now. I'd recognize you even if you turned to dust. How does she know? Freya straightened up and looked down at me. After I hit my head during that mountain climb, I somehow gained the ability to read minds. Mario, stop your inner monologue. It's so loud, Freya said, frowning. I refused to believe it. Freya's a huge liar. Her face darkened and her tone grew heavier. Try saying another word. Fine. She really could read minds. No wonder she'd changed so much after waking up from that coma. So all my inner thoughts were laid bare for her to hear. How embarrassing. Too embarrassing. I'd thought of myself as a master of acting, but it turned out I was just a puppet in Freya's hands. I have a question. Go ahead. How did you suddenly become so obsessed with me? Is it because you think it's fun to hear my thoughts? She spoke slowly. While I was unconscious, I had a dream. In the dream, after Damien returned to the country, I was determined to be with him, and I hated you. Even when you tried to warn me that Damien wasn't a good person, I just brushed you off. Later, I finally got together with Damien only to realize he was using me. Then he spent his days in debauchery, and with his lover, he killed me. After I died, the only one who came to visit me every year was you. When I realized that everything was unfolding just like in my dream, I understood it wasn't a dream. It was a memory of my past life. Mario, you are the one I should cherish for a lifetime. The system didn't respond, and Freya smiled again. Stop looking for it. I told it to shut up, Mario. I know just as much as you do now. You can't beat me. She looked so confident. It was rather attractive. I scratched my head. But I'm just the evil male supporting character. You should be with the male lead, Damien. How can I compete with him for a woman? My voice got softer as I spoke. Freya's voice grew even more gentle. My life is mine to live, not to be dictated by others. Over these 3 years, though I never said it out loud, my heart has been gradually falling for you. I've already fallen in love with you, Mario. You're the only male lead in my life. We shouldn't let the plot control us, okay? Besides, it's only 10 billion. I can give you double that. That day, the sun was shining brightly, and Freya's smile was so beautiful. For some reason, I nodded. Of course, there was another thing. Who would pass up 2 $10 billion offers? Well, it's settled then. If you run away again, I won't be so nice to you. Freya leaned on my shoulder and warned me. My heart was in turmoil once again. Freya gritted her teeth. Are you going to insult me again? I forgot and quickly began reciting ancient poems to distract myself. After the 50th time, Freya couldn't take it anymore. She snapped, "Stop reciting already." Then she kissed me. I couldn't recite anymore. In the midst of our kiss, she whispered, "Let's have a child." Later, Freya and I had a lovely daughter. Sometimes I'd worry, wondering if one day the dam system would return to tell me I didn't belong to this world and pull me away from Freya. What would happen to her? But Freya would always comfort me after hearing my thoughts. "Don't worry, honey. No matter where you go, I'll find you. And if I end up somewhere that's not this world, then I'll wait for you here, not going anywhere. When you return, I'll recognize you immediately.